Speedruns, and this is Banjo-Tooie, any percent no DCW/BC. I'll get a little more into what that actually means in a few minutes, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here in 3, 2, 1, go! Alright. So we start immediately here with a cutscene skip. Line ourselves up with the screen spot on the wall. Oh no, I was a little too far forward, so now we're gonna watch this cutscene. It's about a 15-second loss, but we gain a couple seconds back because we have to come back here a little bit later in the run. But that's okay, because we love cutscenes. This is Banjo-Tooie after all. This game is known for being a movie. Gonna go over here, grab the running shoes here. Over here is egg nest, because we're gonna need some eggs coming up right here, right now. So right now we're inside the digger tunnel, and right off the bat, first minute of the game, we go straight into a boss fight. This is one of 3 Klungo fights in the game. Klungo can throw one of 3 potions at us: green potion, blue potion, and a red potion. Each have different effects. In this category, we're actually going to see all 3 Klungo fights. So, okay, we're starting with red. That's the slowest potion because it makes him grow huge, as you see here. And just the animation of him growing just takes a long time. But like I said, it's not the end of the world, especially in this category, because we fight Klungo all 3 times. So we're going to get all 3 potions regardless. So it's going to be a little bit slower now because we don't have a move that we're going to get a little bit later on, but that's okay. Get right up close to the gate here, so we're as close as we need to be, or like as close as we need to be before where we need to be after the fight. And hopefully, I have a pretty good position here. Hopefully we'll get a good push by Klungo here as he wallows in his own misery because we defeated him. Don't worry, that's a trend coming later in the game with all 3 fights. It's kind of sad. Alright, and now we're going to go to the main hub of the game, Isle o' Hags. This is the first sub-area of Isle o' Hags, Jinjo Village. We're going to go right over here to King Jingling's house, which is the biggest house in all of Jinjo Village because he's the king after all. King Jingling's throne room. It's going to tell us all about the kingdom of the Jinjos here, but we're going to skip all that text because this is a speedrun after all. Of course, we're going to have to skip all the lore. There's our first Jiggy out of 70 that we're going to collect in this category. Whee! Get a little glimpse into Bottle's house here. The game really wants us to go into Bottle's house, but we're actually not going to. We got different plans. Going to Bottle's house is really slow. There's a couple extra cutscenes there, and there's nothing that we need there, so why would we go there? Not bad for a king, huh? The strange pet thingy was cool. Barely even saw that thingy. Let's go find that Jimmy Wiggy. Oops. Supposed to hold D to skip that cutscene. Didn't quite work immediately there. So instead of going straight into Bottle's house, we're gonna go left down here to the white Jinjo house here. Gonna jump on top of the door. Whoops. Try that again. And then over here, it's a pretty easy jump. And the game just lets us go into this loading zone for some reason instead of just going to Bottle's house like the game intends us to do. And this way we skip a couple unskippable cutscenes here. Saves about 30 seconds or so. Now we're gonna go right over here to Jiggy Wiggy's temple. And we're gonna use our 1 Jiggy to gain entrance and open up our first world here. So we're gonna make several trips back here throughout the run. This is how we unlock worlds in this game. We are the chosen 1. Or I guess chosen 2 because it's Banjo and Kazooie. And if we approach the golden monolith here, we will be able to prove ourselves worthy. By doing a jigsaw puzzle, of course, because this is Jiggy Wiggy's temple, home of the Jiggies. So this puzzle's really easy. There's only like 6 pieces. It's completely RNG where the pieces end up on the side of the puzzle here, and which pieces get thrown out. A 90 isn't great, but you know what, we take those. Not bad for the first challenge. And now we're gonna watch a pretty long cutscene of the world opening. So yeah, I guess I can go into more of what this category actually is. Any percent no DCW/BC. Let's start with DCW. DCW stands for Delayed Cutscene Warp. And if you actually saw my 100% run of this game last year at Summer Pace 2023, you actually got to see DCW in action. In that category, we used DCW to warp right to Hag 1 to skip the entire last world of this game, which is Cauldron Keep. This category, as the name implies, no DCW, this category does not do that. So we're actually going to have to unlock all 10 of Jiggy Wiggy's challenges here and go all the way up Cauldron Keep the normal way like you did as a kid if you played this game, and collect 70 Jiggies along the way. This is sort of like the middle category, like we're at Pace. This is basically the 70 star of Banjo-Tooie. I mean, we literally collect 70 Jiggies. So if it's easier for you to conceptualize it like that, then go ahead. Anyways, tag that silo for later. We're entering our first world, Mayhem Temple. There's a warp pad right in front of us. We're gonna go ahead and skip that intentionally, because we plan to have our first warp pad cutscenes at very specific points to skip having extra text boxes. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the white Jinjo in the pool here, and that was actually manipulated. You may have noticed when I started the run that the file I started on, it wasn't actually a new file. It had like 3 seconds of gameplay time on it, and that's because this run utilizes Jinjo manipulation. Basically, if you start up a file and then immediately copy it over and then check where the color Jinjos are, then you can manipulate the Jinjo pattern to have whatever color Jinjos you need in wherever you need them. In this route, we have the white Jinjo there because it's easy and accessible, like right off the bat when we enter the level. And this pattern also has the 2 orange Jinjos in pretty accessible spots as well. We're gonna need that to get 14 Jiggies to unlock JRL when we need to. Because the first 2 worlds here, we want to come back to these worlds because we're gonna get a move later on that makes these levels, the Jiggies in these levels, so much quicker. So I really want those early Jinjo families early. Anyways, right now we're just jumping up the level, collecting notes along the way. We got a move there called Egg Aim. We're gonna use it right now to kill these flies with some eggs for Bovina to help her out with her field. That wasn't too bad. And we also get another Jiggy out of it. That's a really quick Jiggy. Whoops. Can't do that. Thank you. Then we're gonna go back and collect this Jinjo. I intentionally left it for when I jump back there to reduce lag. Gonna jump around, get this treble clef. In this game, unlike the first game where notes are just singular on the ground, most of the notes that you collect in this game are in groups of 5, and then treble clefs are worth 20. So collecting notes is a lot easier and faster in this game. We're not going to collect too many notes in this run. We only need 505 out of 900. But they're all basically right on our way in this route. Make sure to get the most convenient ones. Anyways, we learned another move, Brigal Blaster, which we're using right now. It's the FPS version of this game, or sections of this game. Gonna use it a few times throughout the run, and then we went up to the top of the temple there to grab another quick Jiggy. And now we're gonna go through this Goldeneye section. In this particular section, we need 20 of these green statues here. Whoops. The fastest movement in these FPS sections is strafing from side to side. Whoops. The enemies in here can be a pain because, yeah, there's such tight quarters around here. Can't really see them coming. At 10, it opens the target Zan's slightly sacred chamber, which we're gonna enter to grab another quick jiggy. Quickly detour real quick. There's a Jinjo at the end of this tunnel. Hopefully, thank you. Ideally, you want to get back there before that door closes, but didn't happen there. That's okay. You can just quickly press A to get it to open back up. If you time your egg shots at the right moment there, you can delay the pickup sound there. Try to do it a couple times there. And we grab those golden eggs. Golden eggs are on a timer, as you may have noticed on the right side of the screen there. It's at 45 seconds now. And that's basically unlimited rapid fire eggs, and that's going to be very helpful for this boss fight coming up with Target Zan. Collect our 20th little totem there, right at the front of the entrance. And this is a really sacred chamber. I wonder how this is going to be different. Look, Banjo, there's another Jiggy. This is too easy. This game is literally made for children, little children. This game is too easy, man. We finished this game in no time. Probably should have put a lower estimate. Alright, so this is Target Zan. Very accurately named because we just shoot targets. And when we shoot all the targets on a level here, it goes to the next one. We shoot all the targets and then he spawns enemies that we have to kill. And then we can proceed to the next round. This is kind of a scuff fight here, but that's okay. As long as we defeat the boss by the end of the timer, it's no big deal. Which we're still on track to do. This last phase here, there's going to be enemies on all four corners. Yeah. Ideally, you want the timer to still be running right now, but kind of messed up a little bit there. It's pretty hard to get that boss fight perfectly in the way you want it. And that's it for our first trip to Mayhem Temple. Yeah, we're gonna have 2 trips to both Mayhem Temple and Glitter Gulch Mine, which is the next level we're gonna enter here, the second world in chronological order. We pretty much enter all the levels in chronological order for the start here for the first hour or so. Now before we head on to GGM though, we're gonna go ahead and get this treble clef on the top of this red Jinjo house here. Normally you're supposed to use a move called Grip Grab, which is exactly how it sounds. It allows you to grab the ledge there, but with a well-timed peak bust there, we can get up there without that move. We are going to learn that move eventually in the second trip to Mayhem Temple, but it would be slow for us to go in that area right now, so we're going to save it for later. We don't really need it. Speaking of needing Grip Grab, let's just skip for it. Whoops, I might have to do a setup here. There we go. Third try, first try I mean, definitely first try. So yeah, well-timed beak bust, another well-timed beak bust there will get us up to plateau a little earlier than expected, or without Grip Grab, I guess, not really early, but. Gonna go over here and learn our next egg type, fire eggs. They have one purpose, exactly one purpose in this run. I like to use them for a couple different spots, especially depending on what monitor I use. If it's dark, then I use fire eggs for tricks later on. Alright, and you may have noticed that the level definitely wasn't open there, and we just sort of entered. There's a little tiny gap in between the gate and the board of wood there, and with a well-positioned beak bust, we can just go right through. So our first trip in the Glitter Gulch Mine here is going to be very, very short. It's just going to be this one running shoes section, which is actually pretty tight. I might need to focus here for a bit. We need to do a lot under this timer here. And there's a pretty tight jump in this section too. I'm going to grab 4 of these note nests. And try and make this jump. We need to be quick. Alright. 19 seconds, we should be able to make this work. Learn this move, Bill Drill. It's a very important move in this run. Quickly make our way up here to get the second orange Jinjo to get that Jiggy. Oh, this is gonna be close. It's always close. So, 1 second. Oh, with 1 second to spare, we made it. Let's go. Yeah, if you fail that, it wastes a lot of time. Whoops, I was supposed to stay in Talon Trot there. Alright. Didn't take nearly as much damage as I wanted to there, but at least we didn't fall all the way down to the bottom. That would be very unfortunate. A couple more quick jiggies here. One right there at the bottom of the waterfall, and one at the end of these flooded caverns here. It's a set pattern every time. Go left on the first one, straight on the second one, and then left on the third. There's not much to swimming in this game, really. For now, you just hold B. And you do a breaststroke whenever you can. Or like the earliest possible chance, I guess. It's not like Mario where you need to time your button presses or anything. Alright, and we're gonna Death Warp here. You might notice that there's not a life counter in this game. In Banjo-Tooie, they just give you infinite lives, so we're gonna use this to our advantage here. Because every time you die as Banjo and Kazooie combined, you go back to wherever you entered that level. And we're going to use that many times throughout the run to cut out on movement. And a lot of you might not have even realized that these things were here at beside the levels here, but if you go up to a level in Isle of Hags and you have enough jiggies to unlock it, then you can just go talk to that, press B to talk to that obelisk there, and you can warp right to Jiggy Wiggy. Use that one other time in the run to save a couple loading zones, to not use the silos, because loading zones in this game all take like a few seconds. Alright, 87, that's about average. A good time for that puzzle would be an 89. Bad time would be 85, so yeah. About right there in the middle. And more cutscenes. This is unlocking the level we were just in, Glitter Gulch Mine. Unfortunately, the game forces you to do the puzzles in order. It's unfortunate because we don't even go back to that specific entrance of the level, spoiler alert, so we could, if the game lets you, then we could skip this puzzle, but unfortunately we have to do it here and sit through this cutscene. This time the gate explodes, and Mayhem Temple, like, that beam of light just, like, penetrates the door, and then it just, like, opens normally. It's really weird. I wonder why they chose to do it that way. Alright. We're opening up Witchy World. A really good time for this puzzle would be, like, an 88, 87. Or this is definitely not going to be an 87. I'm not known for being good at my puzzles. They're my weakness in this game. 82 is pretty iffy, but you know what? We take those. We still got a thumbs up from Banjo, so it's good enough in my book. So this is the final puzzle that we're going to do for this specific trick, the Jiggy Wiggy. So what I'm going to do here is wait for the screen to fade to white here, and then wait 2.5 seconds, and then the game will auto-save. And then that'll be a little bit quicker than watching the whole cutscene play out and leaving the temple. I can see the timer up there, luckily. Alright. Reset a little late there, but I just want to be safe, you know. It would be tragic if I accidentally reset too early and the level didn't open. Unfortunately, we can't skip this opening sequence here. We have to sit through all this, but it's still faster than watching that whole cutscene play out and running out of Jiggy Wiggy's temple. Yeah, that's why we always have runs on file 1, so we can just mash A to get back into the file whenever we reset or save and quit, which is quite often in this run. So now we're going to go back to Spiral Mountain. Normally you would have to skip the Klungo cutscene again, but since I failed it before, we can just run right along here. For your boy Royston. from the boulder there. He got stuck there after barbecue in the first game, if you're familiar with Banjo-Kazooie. Oops, I wasn't supposed to fall in the water there, but whatever, it works. And for helping him out, he gives us double air, which is double the amount of air, and double the amount of swim speed, which is going to be very helpful for exactly one level, which is the water level in this game. But right now we're going to go ahead and go to the third level, which is Witchy World, the amusement park level. We have to warp the plateau first, so we haven't unlocked that section of Isle of Hags yet, which is right over here. This is our one use for fire eggs, which is right next to where we learned them. Let's open this gate here into the next section of Isle of Hags, which is Pine Grove. Oops. Kind of an annoying thing about this game is that if you're in Town Trot and you jump a little too early, then Kazooie will just flutter and it'll cancel the Town Trot. I've been running this game long enough to where I've mostly got the timing down, but occasionally on some slopes I jump a little too early. So these are grenade eggs. We're going to use them plenty throughout the run, especially for death warps. Because since they're grenades, we take damage on them. And here is the third level in the game, Witchy World. Let's spend quite a little bit of time here. We're gonna unlock our first warp pad there. This is the first level where we're gonna actually use the warp pads. Whoops. Let's go up here and get these notes real quick. Then move right along here to get the notes, or some of the notes around the tent here. Try to avoid this guy as much as possible. He has a really big hitbox, but that was pretty good there. Sometimes he really trolls you and he like guards that note nest with his life. But it was pretty good there. Go over to the space zone. We're just gonna grab a couple note nests and then a Jinjo up here. At this point, the color of the Jinjos doesn't really matter. It's mostly just the white Jinjo and the orange Jinjo. Might have noticed Groggy there in the background, the fat bear who burped. That doesn't matter in this category, but it definitely matters in 100%. And we learn airborne egg aiming there. Has a couple uses in this run. This route is gonna skip Patch, which is like the main reason you would get airborne egg aiming normally in a run. But we still get it here because we're right there. It does save a little bit of time later on. Get the Jinjo on top of the tent there and then learn probably the most used move in the game. Besides clockworks are probably more used, honestly. I wasn't supposed to get that warp there, but that's okay. Grab some feathers there, just whatever feathers we end up getting there. The feather nest and the egg nest just cycle through each other. So just like, you have to wait to get the specific type of feather or egg that you need. Cactus of Strength there, you need a bill drill, a regular beak bust, and the grenade to get that jiggy. You can climb up to the top here, whoops. Jumped a little too early. And we're actually going to jump on top of this scenery here and use Slope Abuse to get this Jinjo because we don't have grip grab, so we can't grab that ledge to get it like we normally would. Grab a note nest there, and then we're going to enter the Crazy Castle Stockade. This is probably a couple of the slower jiggies of the run, but we're going to spend about 5 minutes here and we get 2 jiggies out of it, so it's still pretty much worth it. There's some really slow jiggies in this game that we want to skip in this category. Don't get out of my way, dude. But first, we have a move to learn here, Solo Banjo. We get introduced to the Minjos, the arch enemy of the Jinjos. We don't run into too many of them in this category, I don't think. Just that one and a couple others I can think of. Anyways, Pack Whack is a very useful solo banjo move. Allows us to do a sort of makeshift double jump as Banjo here. Do a jump of Pack Whack, and then it lets us do another jump out of that Pack Whack animation. It's very useful for whenever we're solo Banjo. Gain height very quickly. We don't have to grab that honeycomb, it's just in the way, so. It's actually pretty much slower to avoid that honeycomb because it's right there in the center. So there's our first time using split up. We press the switch as solo Banjo, then a solo K to Kazooie to inflate this inflatable castle here. There's gonna be a couple mini games there for us. We intentionally end this section on solo Kazooie because there's a mini game with just solo Kazooie in this castle, which we're gonna go do right now. You may have noticed that Kazooie runs very fast. So unfortunately, kind of want the enemies close to the entrance there so we can take a hit of damage off of them. But since they were too far away there, I'm just gonna go right in here. It's not too much slower, it just saves on grenades. This category is actually really tight on grenades. Like this category, you have to really pay attention to your egg management. It's a very big part of this category specifically. Anyways, this is Hoopuri. Pretty easy, we only need 30 points, and we're only gonna get the 30 points required. This is one of the many mini games that use the formula of red equals 1 point, blue equals 3 points, and green equals 2 points. 31 points, that's all we need, and then we're gonna go right to the entrance here, and then poop eggs onto the wall here. This may look a little silly, but if I can get it right in here, this works. So you may notice that when we shoot eggs, it doesn't actually deplete our inventory. So we're gonna use this to our advantage and fill up on eggs pretty quickly here while we're waiting for the timer to run out. Once we hit 100 there, we're full, so no need to do that anymore. Have to sit and wait until the timer runs out. There's quite a few mini games in the game where you just have to sit there and wait for a timer to run, unfortunately. Just watch the seconds go by. It's the most painful thing as a speedrunner. Want to play again? Absolutely not. And we death warp. If you death warp as a solo character, it brings you back to the split up pads, and it also brings the other solo character to their respective split up pad right next to you, so you can easily recombine. Very convenient. Here's a second minigame of the Crazy Castle stockade here. This one's a little different. Oh, we also use the airborne egg aiming, sorry, for this one. Completely forgot about that. It's just like autopilot this minigame. Don't even think about the fact that we actually use that move. So as Grunty said at the beginning of this minigame, we need 50 points, but the most optimal score for this minigame is 69. There's a lot of minigames where the most optimal score is 69. It saves 69 frames every time. Don't ask me why. This is another minigame where you just have to sit there and wait for the timer to run. And the game never strays from this formula, where red equals 1, green equals 3, and green equals 2, and okay, red equals 1, green equals 2, and blue equals 3. When we get enough points there, we go close to the entrance, because we're not going to death warp after this minigame. We're just going to leave the entrance and grab our 2 jickeys up there. We want to play again, kind of, but unfortunately it's not part of the run. If only we could get more jickeys that way. That'd be a really boring run, though. So we're normally supposed to use this shock spring pad around the other side of the castle there to get up here. So we can just backflip to the top of the entrance there. It's a little quicker than running all the way around. There's Soggy. We don't want to talk to her in this category. Grab the other note nest back there. We're gonna climb this ladder and then jump over to Humba Wumba here. So in the last game, Mumbo Jumbo actually did the transformations. In this game, you can actually play as Mumbo, and then Humba Wumba here does the transformations. Unfortunately, in this category, we're never gonna use Mumbo because he's slow. We're gonna use quite a few transformations though. May have noticed that we collected Globos there. I think I failed to mention that earlier, but it's the little pink things there. We only use 3 transformations in this run, so it's not like we're going out of our way for them. You literally see a Globo right next to Humba there. Apparently she's just really lazy and doesn't use that one for her magic. We have to collect it for her still. Just the continuity of these Rareware games, I guess. So here's a van. Fun fact, if you spam the horn, it saves frames on lag, so we're gonna spam the horn here. And then go over here. Need to honk the horn to open the door there. That's why spamming horn is actually faster. Go ahead here. I don't know why the camera zoomed in there. It was pretty laggy. Yeah, we don't need any of these tickets from these fruities, and yes, that's actually what they're called, fruities. Not slot machines, as I thought as a kid. Go over here, get the treble clef, come back. Get the last 2 note nests around the tent here, and then go over here to unlock the Inferno. Another benefit to the van, or I guess a feature of the van, not really a benefit, but he has an infinite amount of coins in the back there. Wish I could say the same IRL, but we all have dreams, don't we? And we pay to enter the Inferno here. But the door doesn't just stay open, it opens and closes to add a little bit of extra challenge, I guess, to enter in. Then we're gonna go right over here to get the warp pad and then warp back. Warp back to Humba here to transform back into Banjo-Tooie. So here's another fun fact. Spamming the horn there doesn't save any time at all, and it's just a meme. Alright, transforming back. Banjo's upside down for some reason. That must hurt. I wonder if transforming there actually does hurt or not. It kind of looks like it hurts, but I probably wouldn't want to try it for myself. Anyways, we're going to warp right back to the Inferno here. There's a quick jiggy that we can grab up here. We just have to run to the top of this thing in the center here. You have to dodge these hot heads as they slide down the ramp here. So hopefully dodge them. I don't want to die, so hopefully I don't get hit again, because we want to take fall damage here. Once we get to the top, and jump down. Jiggy and jump down. A little low on health here, so I'm gonna flutter for a little bit longer. I'm at 1 HP here. This should be fine, hopefully. Hopefully I don't die prematurely. Because dying is both a good thing and a bad thing in this game. You only want to die at the right time. And you do actually take damage on like the teeth of the gate of the Inferno there, so if you're not careful and you jump too late there, you can actually damage yourself. So here's a dive of death. Game expects you to just tiptoe across like a little pansy, but we just jump across like real men. Hopefully get this other nest here. There we go. and hopefully get out of this pool. There we go. And we go over here to the entrance to the Cave of Horrors. There are 3 attractions at the Cave of Horrors. At the end of this treacherous tunnel here, you actually do take damage on these teeth here. Hopefully I won't show you an example of that. Oh, it's dark. Okay. It's a little slow, but at least we avoided a premature death there. So there's Gobi the Camel from the first game, Dinosaur, which is from a very slow jiggy in this game. See my 100% run from last year if you want to see that. And the Jinjo, and that's all we're interested in. And Moggy happened to be in there for another jiggy that we're not going to get in this category, which is where we save all of Boggy's children. Well, not really save them, just return them back to their mother. But anyway, that's it for Witchy World. We're never going to go back there in this run. It's kind of funny. This game is basically known for its backtracking, but we only visit 2 levels in this run twice. So that's very nice. Anyways, unfortunately, we have to warp back to Wooded Hollow here just for one singular puzzle, an extra trip to Jiggy Wiggy. There's no real quick way to route around it in this category, because all the jiggies that we would need to get the 14 to skip this trip would be way too slow. So it's just faster to eat the time loss of another trip. Good time for this puzzle would be 84, 85. $82, that's about what I usually get. We take those, we take those. No matter what time you get, you always get the thumbs up from Banjo, so we take whatever we get. And that's the only puzzle we're going to do on this trip, so I'm going to reset out of this cutscene again. 2.5 seconds after the screen fades to white here. Behold the power of the mighty Jiggy Wiggy. We're not going to behold. We're just going to reset. And unfortunately, every time you reset the console, you can't skip this. So we try to save and quit when we can, but obviously we can't save and quit during a cutscene, because we can't pause the game. That'd be too easy. And we just unlocked JRL, Jolly Roger's Lagoon, so we're gonna go right up there. But first we have to unlock some stuff in Isle of Hags along the way. We're up the Plateau again this time. Plateau just has a lot going on, I guess. Grab these notes real quick. Can skip using grip grab, which you normally need for those notes for the well-timed beak bust. Get this Jinjo. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but we get every single Jinjo in the game in this category. They're just really fast chickies. Most of the Jinjos are very fast to get, so we get all of them. They're not too far out of the way. They're usually right by a Jiggy anyway. Kazooie can jump up slopes really quickly there by just spamming A and jump and fluttering. You split up to open up the next section of Isle of Hags here, Cliff Top. There are 2 levels in this particular section of Isle of Hags. But first we're going to learn our next type of egg, ice eggs. Not too many uses for these in the run, but they're pretty handy for other tricks coming up. So I haven't mentioned this yet, but there's actually at every silo there, when Jam Jars jumps back into the silo, there's a 10% chance that he'll bonk his head, and it's an extra 5-second cutscene every time it happens. So since it wastes 5 seconds for every bonk I get, I'll donate $5, and I encourage everyone who has the means to join me in on that for a good cause here. Gotta quickly drop down here to open up this bridge. into a later level. That's actually going to be the last level when we enter in the run. But for now, we're going to go into JRL, Jolly Roger's Lagoon. Oh, I lied. Mayhem Temple and GGM, or in Glare Gulch Mine, are not the only two levels we visit twice. We also visit this level twice. This is not my main category, so this is not my areas of expertise. I still like to think I'm pretty decent at this category, though. Got a pretty tight jump there up to the notes on that shelf there. Normally supposed to just jump on the shelf behind or below them and then slowly back flip up. There's also two ways of getting into this little area here. You can either blow up the door like we just did, or get a doubloon, which is a collectible specific to this, to JRL. And then pay Jolly for him to open the door. So we choose a violent way. But we are going to collect some doubloons here. We're going to collect 20 for a Jiggy. It's a pretty quick Jiggy, because you just collect 20 doubloons and then talk to the guy, and that's it. We're going to use some more slope abuse here to get this Jinjo. You're normally supposed to talk to Blubber here in this level, Blubber from the last game, to unlock his last possession, which is a pair of running shoes, and you use that to run across the water and jump up to that Jinjo. But instead we just use slope abuse there. I don't think I fully explained what slope abuse is. Basically, if you're on a slippery slope, whenever your shadow is on the slope, the game basically sets up a timer. Uh-oh. Need to swim through these tentacles. It's kind of tricky. There we go. Anyways, when you're on a slippery slope and your shadow is on the slope, the game sets a timer where once it hits the time limit, it makes you slide off the slope. So as long as you jump off the slope and jump back onto it and quickly jump off of it again, then you'll never slide on the slope. So here's the main, well, there was the main area of the underwater section of JRL Atlantis. May have noticed I swam a little bit to that temple in front there. There are 3 possible codes to gain entry to that temple, which we definitely want to do later for Jiggy. We just peeked that code there. It was Sigma, Delta, Sigma, Pi, Omega. It's one of 3 codes every single time, so it's pretty easy to memorize them. Usually just look for like 2 symbols that are the same right next to each other. I also peeked what was inside of that invisible fish there, because we're going to use that move we just learned, Talon Torpedo, to get a very quick Jiggy right over here. Can either be in here with Wumba or in Atlantis. But this time the Jiggy was with Humba, and we're going to transform into the submarine. Very fitting for this level. Doing big bust into the pool there, it's a little quicker than just diving in. So the submarine, of course, has very quick movement in the water here. We're actually going to use a submarine to open up that temple in Atlantis with the code, because the submarine gives you unlimited amount of torpedoes. It's just easier to aim and shoot with the submarine. Oh, is that gonna hit? No. Oh, it did hit. Whoops. That second one's not gonna hit. Oh my god. That was kind of slow, but whatever, we take those. We're not actually going to enter the temple in this trip. We're going to save it for the next trip. So we're just going to grab that treble clef by shooting his eye out. And the submarine has this little sonar attack here to it. We can use it to freeze the octopuses there to easily get through. The Jinjo in the sunken ship here, the chest can be in one of 4 spots. We got the second to worst RNG, but we also get free grenades out of there. So we still definitely take those because we're specifically low on grenades, especially later on in the run. Anyways, now we're here at the sea bottom. And in this room, there's a honeycomb that's important for 100%, but not this category. This Davy Jones locker here can be any one of these lockers down here, basically. Got pretty good RNG there. We want it to be as close to that, to the minigame as possible. We got pretty close in this run. Here's the boss fight of this level, Lord Wu Fak Fak. The first phase here, Lord Wu Fak Fak has 6 boils. And they'll light up in a random order every time, so hopefully it's on this side. Perfect. Ideally, we want all 3 boils on one side, and then all 3 on the other side. So far, we're 2 for 3, and nope. Oh, it's still one on the top left there. It's unfortunate. Not terrible RNG, honestly, but not the greatest either. Now it just comes down to the execution, which was pretty good. Now the second phase here is a lot more standard. We just have to shoot his eyes 6 times. After the first 2 hits here and the next 2 hits here, we need to wait for him to do an attack. And for the final 2 hits of the fight here, it's every 1 hit to the eyes. You have to wait. Alright, that could have been a lot worse, honestly. This boss basically comes down to RNG, whether... Well, it's both RNG and execution, of course, but... Your execution depends on the other RNG. And then Jiggy was just sitting there in like the bowl of the anglerfish. I don't even know what that thing on the top of anglerfishes are called, but anyway, someone will probably correct me in chat as to what the actual name of that is. And we're gonna go right down here to this little cave entrance here. And we're gonna have another minigame, the standard red equals 1, green equals 2, blue equals 3. And this will end our first trip to JRL here. Of course, the optimal score here is 69, so hopefully we can hit it. Not seeing a lot of blues here. This might be a little close. There's a blue. Oh, come on. The torpedoes sort of home in on them. It depends on which one it is. They really home in on the red ones. Like that one, I wasn't even close there to make that shot. It still hit. Nice, we got 69, let's go. Woo! Rats. Luckily scored enough points to win my prize, which was exactly 69 points, by the way. And we actually have to mash pause there because if we don't pause fast enough, Grunty will ask us if we want to leave, which of course we want to leave, but we don't want to make her or wait for her to say that. Alright, the next portion of the run here, we're gonna take another quick trip back to Spiral Mountain to grab the Jinjo here now that we have Talon Torpedo. Normally Klungo is there and you kind of jump through him there, but I sucked at the beginning of this run, so no Klungo. And this is our last trip in the Spiral Mountain, so say goodbye to Spiral Mountain. I know, very sad. It's my favorite level in this game too. But we march on to Pine Grove specifically. That's where we're gonna get to the next area of Isle of Hags here. May not have noticed when I was jumping through here before, but there's actually a pool of water here. And there's a Talon Torpedo rock here. I think you guys want to get the formula here. There's a move in the level that unlocks the next part of Isle of Hags. That's the game's form of forcing progression, I guess. Anyways, we're inside of another digger tunnel. Don't ask me how it ended up underwater. But here we have another fight with Klungo. We got red potion on the first fight, so this will be either green or blue. I'm hoping for blue, honestly. Blue too is usually ideal. Of course we get green. Blue Klungo 3 later on is gonna be kind of a pain. Since we have egg aim this time, we can just shoot the potions away. It's a little faster than how we'd do it if it was Klungo 1 and we didn't have egg aim. Whoops. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, if you don't hit him fast enough there, it's actually kind of hard to find him. Luckily we got it though. Wasn't too slow. Now Klungo's gonna go cry again. Figure out his next devious plan to thwart our access to Cauldron Keep, I guess. So here's the Wasteland. Go up here on our left and learn our final egg type here. And this is really where the run starts. Clockwork Kazooie eggs. Basically with these types of eggs, we shoot and it hits the ground and then it has like a remote little clockwork thing. Clockwork Kazooie. Like that's like remotely controlled, and we can control that separately from Banjo and Kazooie. And we can use that to absolutely destroy this game, as you'll see very quickly here. Anyways, we grab another Jinjo there, and now we're gonna go back to Mayhem Temple. We can get a few Jiggies there pretty quickly, or a lot quicker than if we didn't have Clockwork Kazooie eggs. That's what we were waiting for. So this time we're gonna hit the entrance warp. We're gonna use it for later. Alright, go right over here to this boulder and Bill drill it for his flight pad. Now normally for this door you would kick it open with the Golden Goliath, which is like the special ability that you unlock with Mumbo in this level. But with a pretty easy setup there, we can just time a red feather to get up there and just beak bomb through the top there. It's not hard at all. And the first Clockwork Kazooie egg you use, it opens up a text box, so we purposely get rid of that text box there. It's also a little quicker than jumping up there for the Jinjo. Alright, so this is a pretty cool trick here. Discovered relatively recently compared to a lot of tricks in this game. That should work. Now normally you would use the you would require the Golden Goliath to get that Jiggy, but the Golden Goliath is very slow because you have to get Mumbo to summon him, and then the Golden Goliath just moves pretty slowly overall anyway. So with a well timed and positioned the Clockwork shot in the swamp there, we can get that Jiggy with a Clockwork and skip the Golden Goliath altogether. And normally for this Jiggy you would just tiptoe across the branches here to not wake up Slumber there, but the Jiggy's close enough you can just jump right to it. We'll utilize another Death Warp here to get back to the entrance of the level really quickly. Gonna use that same flight pad to quickly get the Jinjo on top of the stadium here. And then we're gonna beak bomb over here to this temple, and we're gonna be introduced to one of the, probably the most broken techniques in this game. I'll explain once I hopefully do it here. Have to use blue eggs to find a position where the egg will actually go through the crack there. Now this part's a little bit RNG. We have to wait until the grenade egg bounces off the side there. Being really controlled really hard here. Come on, man. Dude. Okay. Then quickly shoot a clockwork into the loading zone. And then we take damage as Banjo. And since the clockwork went through the loading zone, and then when you take damage as Banjo, it blows up the clockwork. And then gives control back to Banjo-Kazooie. But we do that all while the loading before the loading zone actually transitions. So when the loading zone when it fades to black there, we're controlling Banjo. So it actually sends Banjo and Kazooie through that loading zone. Right there, it doesn't save a whole lot of time because it basically just skips opening up this temple normally. That one, specific example there of a clockwork warp only saves like 20 seconds, but still pretty cool. We're gonna use a lot more clockwork warps throughout this run. I wanted to take fall damage there, but then slide into the cutscene trigger there, but unfortunately that didn't happen, so we had to watch Banjo slowly get up. Anyways, for this Jiggy, we have to steal the priceless relic thingy, and yes, that's the official name for it. For a bloat sand there. And now this Unga Bunga is just so distraught, like, he just lost his priceless relic thingy. I mean, what does he have to live for anymore? I wouldn't even know how to handle that if that happened to me. And now he's gonna open up that secret entrance. You're normally supposed to shoot eggs into those snake heads there, or into the mouths of those heads, to gain entry to this temple. Through this entrance here that we're gonna exit. So now we're gonna go over here to this door. We're normally supposed to kick this open with the golden Goliath as well. I kind of want to get a clockwork there, but it's not the end of the world. As I mentioned, the egg nests all cycle through the 5 different types of eggs, so we can manipulate the camera to our advantage there to get the type of egg that we want usually, but that one wasn't too important, so I didn't try too hard there. So this code here can be one of 3 combinations, just like the one in Atlantis. Unfortunately, I got the 3rd try code. Just waste time because you have to enter all 3 codes. Unlocks this prison here with Delberta. That's that little mole rat's name. Use Bill Drill to free the way into Glur Gulch Mine. We're gonna follow her right into that level. Go right into our 2nd trip into GGM here. Now the prospector is reunited with his partner. So happy. Such a heart-filling love story there. They're honestly my favorite couple. Anyway, we quickly drop down for that note nest. Here's another clockwork warp. This one's pretty tricky. Let's try that again. I shot the clockwork a little too high there. It hit the top of the door frame there. Let's try again. Alright. Wasted a clockwork there. The game only gives you 10 clockworks at a time, so you really have to be careful if you waste a clockwork like I did there. Anyway, there's Canary Mary. She's one of the more infamous characters in this game. At least her 4th race specifically, which we're not going to see because it would take way too long to do all 4 races in this category. if you check out my Hundo run from last year, you'll be able to see it. I know I keep going back to my Hundo run, but that's my main category for this game, so it's the one I'm most proud of. Anyways, we use a grenade there when we're freeing Canary Mary to skip a cutscene. Forgot to explain that. Now we're going over here to water storage. Gonna get this Jinjo with a clockwork. Skips swimming through that pipe that was leading into that other pipe there that had the Jinjo on it. Quickly get the Trouble Clef and get out of here. There's a crushing shed. There's another Jiggy we can get there, but it's way too slow for this category. So we're gonna go up here to the green glitter pile here and get these notes. And get this Jiggy with a clockwork. Then we're gonna send a clockwork over to this little cave here to get the Jinjo that's in here. As I mentioned, we get all 45 Jinjos in the game in this category just because they're really quick to get. And we send a clockwork into that cave because it's just really far out of the way, because we want to go around the corner here. Can jump on this wall here a little bit, the slope portion, for a bit quicker movement. Now we have our next FPS section. The ordnance storage. But first we're gonna go over here. Well, actually first I'm gonna get this clockwork here. We're gonna learn this move here called Beak Bayonet. Basically like a melee attack for Kazooie, because for the Jiggy here we're gonna need it. And only for this Jiggy. This game has a lot of that too, learning moves just for like one Jiggy. It's kind of a meme, but we have to go through it. Here's Beak Bayonet in action, because if we shoot these TNT sticks with the egg, it'll just make it explode. But apparently hitting it with Kazooie's beak is different than hitting it with an egg for some reason. Rare logic, I guess. So anyways, we have 200 seconds to get 15 of these TNT sticks, which may look like a lot of time, but if you're doing this casually, you have no idea where you're going and you're constantly getting hit by these enemies. This Jiggy's actually not easy at all if you don't know where all these are. But luckily we do, and we have the power of strafing at our utility here, so we're gonna finish with plenty of time on the clock. We're also gonna take some damage here throughout this little section here to set up a death warp at the end. That's the quickest way to get back. There's two in this area right next to each other. And our last one is down here. It would take forever for us to run back out, so we're just gonna death warp. Excuse me. There. I don't know how that didn't hit. 66, that's pretty good. Definitely not bad at all. We end up right next to a wall so we can shoot a grenade and death warp. Then try and strafe into the Jiggy here if we get a good angle. Nice. And it just so happens when we exit ordnance storage here, we're right next to Canary Mary, so we're gonna go ahead and do that Jiggy. We're only gonna do the first race though. We're not gonna see a whole lot of Canary Mary in this category, unfortunately. So for Canary Mary, you need to mash A as fast as possible to go as fast as possible and win the race. This first race is very, very, very easy. Not much mashing ability required here at all. But if you played this game before, you probably remember like Canary Mary 3 and 4. I remember when I first played this game, it It was like almost impossible. It was basically impossible for me to beat Canary Mary 4 because my arm would just give out halfway through. I remember I would try like all these different like button mashing techniques, like scouring Google and like how to defeat that race. Made it feel even more satisfying when I got to speedrun this game and finally conquer my childhood nightmare as Canary Mary 4. For some people, that still is a nightmare. Well, that's the end of Canary Mary for this category, sadly. Not after a very laggy cutscene, because that's what Banjo-Tooie is. We're gonna go right up here to get another Jinjo. Then we kind of have to do a little walk of shame here over to Mumbo's skull. There's no other alternatives really, we just have to run over here. Whoops, didn't want to get hit by that guy necessarily, but whatever. Go over here, get these notes. Don't necessarily need the warp pad, but it's right in the way, so we need these notes though, so if I can stop jumping around them, that'd be great. Build drill this rock, get this Globo, because it's right here. We only need one more Globo for the rest of the run, but it's right there, so it's definitely the quickest one to get. Here's another interesting clockwork shot. If we shoot right on the side of that thick bar there, we can fail the shot. That was definitely intentional. RNG manipulation for later. Alright, that should work, yep. I only have one clockwork left, that's unfortunate. Kind of, well, don't really need to, but it's more optimal to have two, I guess. So we're gonna go ahead and split up here. Send Solo Kazooie over here to the power hut. And depending on which monitor you are using for this run, this area can be very dark. You can like barely see anything. My monitor at home is very dark, so I've like developed strats so I can get through this without seeing anything at all. This monitor is pretty dark, but not too bad. Luckily that chain is lit up pretty much no matter how dark your monitor is, so you can always use that as a guidance there. And you may have noticed I was rapidly cycling through my eggs by mashing R there. That just brings up the loading zone or like the death plane a little quicker. Gonna do that a couple more times in this run, including after this Jiggy. Normally for this Jiggy, you're supposed to use fire eggs to power up these generators. Oh, I don't know why that didn't work. I probably wasn't mashing right when I died, but anyway, for that Jiggy, you're normally supposed to shoot generators with fire eggs to light up the path, and this big long path, and you just backflip up to that ladder. It's just barely low enough for you to make it. Skip all that. Anyway, here's technically our third trip to Mayhem Temple, but we're just gonna get two Jiggies here real quick. Including this one with a clockwork. Oh, that might be too high. Nope, we're good. Swim back through this tunnel here and go up these platforms to get the last Jiggy in Mayhem Temple. And we're just so happen to end this level with 28 Jiggies, which is exactly how much we need to open up Grunty Industries. So we're going to be able to unlock 2 levels with this next trip to Jiggy Wiggy. Or I guess Jimmy Wiggy, according to Banjo. But unfortunately, since we have a clockwork, we don't have a clockwork here. We're going to have to go all the way over here. Normally we shoot a clockwork at this to save a little bit more time. Plus not too slow doing it this way. Only like a couple seconds slower. We're gonna warp back to the entrance and leave the level normally because we want to go back to Jiggy Wiggy. And he's right here, right next to Mayhem Temple. We're gonna open up the next 2 levels here. So yeah, if you're not too familiar with Banjo-Tooie speedrunning but you've been around the speedrunning scene as a whole for a while, you might have seen a 70 Jiggy run back in 2014, SGDQ 2014, and that was the last time this category was actually showcased, and yeah, it's basically a completely different run from back then. I went ahead and watched that run before I came out here just to see like how much different this category really is, and yeah, basically none of the strats used in that run we use anymore. I mean, some things just never change, obviously, but like the hardcore set things in the game, but the route as a whole, and that run didn't even use Jinjo manipulation. It's just a really interesting perspective of how far we've come in this game. Yeah, if you're enjoying this run so far, this 70 Jiggy category, this is kind of like the middle category, like I said at Banjo-Tooie. There's a really interesting task made by Captain Cole in Hyper Resonance, a 70 Jiggy task. They specifically called it a 70 Jiggy task because the task utilizes bit clips a lot. In this category, oh, I don't even think I explained bit clips, but bit clips are the BC portion of this category's name, so no DCW/BC. And bit clipping is basically this really complicated, convoluted, it's pixel perfect, frame perfect trick where in specific areas you can jump through the floor. Basically, to put it in layman's terms, the floors in this game is made of triangles. And wherever 3 of those triangles intersect, you can actually clip through that pixel on the ground. And in an RTA setting, there's only like a handful of bit clips that are even possible RTA setting. But you need this very, very specific setup, and it's just way above the skill level I'm willing to put into this game, so I usually just stick with the no bit clip route for 100%. If you do want to give it a shot, I mean, there are documents out there with like the setups and everything. 66 is kind of pretty bad time for a puzzle here, but whatever. But yeah, if you want to learn the bit clips, you can save a few minutes and 100%. It's a free world record, honestly. I would say go for it. Anyway, that's Jiggy Wiggy's Challenge 6. That's all we're going to do for this trip. So we're going to reset out this cutscene. Now, while we're on the topic of tasks here, recently, earlier this year actually, Ring Rush made a 100% task of this game, and that was absolutely incredible. I would highly recommend watching that task, as well as the 70 Jiggy task. Just any task of this game. Like, just the amount of bit clips in those tasks is just insane. Like, it's so insane. He literally, like, runs up and then just clips through the floor out of nowhere. It's like, what the hell? But anyway, back to the run. We're gonna go to Pterodactyl Land. Pretty memorable level in this game. Oops. Kind of want to manipulate the camera here to get a clockwork. I guess on this trip it doesn't matter. In this category, you visit the same areas like so often here, especially this segment in Jinjo Village. A lot of times you want to get the extra clockwork, but this time it doesn't actually matter because it's actually routed in to talk to jam jars here again and refill on clockworks because we're at 0 there in the route. Grab some feathers there before entering TDL. So to start TDL, we're gonna do, or at least I'm gonna attempt this jump here. Aw, man, almost made it. That jump saves a few seconds, but if you get it, it's not too big of a deal. You just have to run around here. Get these notes now while we're over here, instead of getting them later. This switch with the grenade and then shoot a clockwork over this Jinjo. You're normally supposed to use a flight pad to get to that Jinjo, but we don't even have it unlocked yet. So. And we stand close enough to jam jars there to mash B once we explode the clockwork to immediately talk to him. Come on, jam jars, bonk for me one more time. One time at least. There's still plenty of chances for bonks. Actually, there's not too many more chances, honestly. We don't get too many more moves in this run. Anyways, use Talon Torpedo here to hit the switch to get this Jinjo. Immediately enter the inside of the mountain here. And go right over to these split up pads and take solo Banjo and a little adventure here. Gonna use Pack Whack quite a bit here. Quite a bit of double jumps. Just optimal movement. Now, as you can tell, it's very laggy here, so we try to get the camera behind the wall here. It's like the least laggy camera angle. I'm holding R here, and just spamming double jumps to climb up this pole a little faster, and just climbing it normally. I'm gonna take Banjo all the way to the end of this corridor here. And then over here to Jam Jars, which is on top of this ledge. You're normally supposed to jump onto a ledge or grip grab onto a ledge on the other side of this room and then grip grab all the way over here, but it's much easier and faster to do a double jump there. And we learned Taxi Pack, so now Banjo can actually put items into his backpack to carry them around. Gonna use that a couple times throughout this run. And then Death Warp here. Gonna swim to this flight pad. Look at that double air, look how fast we're going. Insane. Grab Red Feather specifically there because we're running a little low at this point in the run. Then Big Bomb the Chomposaurus. Now last time I took this category a bit seriously, the route actually skipped this Jiggy. It's kind of a slow one, honestly. You have to watch this long cutscene here, and then it's a minute-long auto-scroller minigame. But we discovered that it was slightly faster than doing Patch. Or this Jiggy was slightly faster than doing Patch. Just timed out to be that way. Plus, it's a lot more consistent than doing the Patch boss fight. There's a very high skill ceiling to that fight. Now, unfortunately, the most optimal score for this minigame is not 69 because we need 75 points to beat this game. So I'm just gonna go for a high score. This is pretty much the only point where 69 is a bad thing. Normally you get like into the hundreds easily in this minigame, but actually not scoring very high here. We're gonna hit 100 at least. Alright, then towards the end of this minigame, we're gonna move to the center a little bit. Jiggy's center, or spawns at the center of this room. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where the center of that room is, just because everything looks the same. And we don't want to play again, and we just enter or exit normally. And then he just spits us out. We're gonna go back to this flight pad here. And this time we're gonna go all the way to the top of the mountain here, and then we're gonna do another clockwork or past this gate. This particular warp is pretty simple. Now watch me fail it like 5 times. Oh, here we go. Commentator's curse. Since I'm the commentator and the runner, I'm cursing myself here. Alright, second try. It's not too bad. We are on a pretty tight clockwork route from here till basically the end of the run, so it is very unfortunate that I lost a clockwork there, but there are a few backups that I can get that are kind of slow, but I mean, for a marathon, you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, here's a boss fight for this level with Terry. He's accusing us of stealing his eggs, even though we did no such thing. So now he's trying to kill us. That's pretty reasonable, honestly, I think. So you can kind of lead your shots, your first grenade shot ahead of him there, and then immediately shoot another grenade like towards the center of his body there to get a double hit. And that way you can finish the fight in 2 cycles instead of 3. So far we're in pretty much on track for a hot 2 cycle here. Yeah, to easily dodge this attack here where he's shooting this, whatever this purple substance is at you is to just run in circles. If you run in circles, it'll basically never hit you. That was kind of slow, but we got the 2 cycle, so I'm happy. Yeah, there's a pretty long cutscene here of him just being defeated. No. Okay, can I get some F's in the chat for my boy Terry? We actually get 2 jiggies out of this. We get the jiggy that's was shown right there in the cutscene, and then it opens a hole in this nest where we get another jiggy. So even though this seems pretty slow, we get 2 jiggies out of it. And here's a cutscene showing a couple of the eggs that we normally would have to hatch around a level. But that jiggy is also too slow for this category, so we're just going to skip right by it. Alright, going right into the hole in the center of the nest here. And then back out for that other jiggy. I almost just ran right off the edge there. You gotta be careful. The camera flip there can really troll you. And proceeding out from the inside the nest here. Guide that warp to the top of the mountain. And then go over here. This can be kind of scary. Those grunty dactyls control you sometimes, but luckily they left me alone pretty much there. Over here to Bonfire Cavern. The movement in this area can be a little tricky as well. This grunty dactyl here can be a real pain sometimes, but he was a G there, luckily. Here's a spot where you can get an extra clockwork. It's not routed in, but... Well, I guess we're not getting an extra clockwork there. That's okay. There's a few extras. Few extras in this level, I guess you can say. We're gonna go right over here to these split up pads and do a bunch of stuff solo K first before actually doing the stomping planes. Gonna go over here, warp to the top of the mountain. And shoot a clockwork. That's not a clockwork. This is a clockwork. And bring it down here. Then blow up this caveman right up in his butt crack there. So yeah, this is the Rocknut tribe. This is a pretty quick jiggy in the level. Just run around, blowing up the whole tribe here, making them go extinct. It's not morbid at all. Oh, I didn't necessarily want to take damage there, but that's okay. We got rid of that signpost text. Go down over here for another Rocknut. They have such a devastating scream, I almost feel bad. Almost. Get another jiggy here. Shoot a clockwork through a pretty big gap in the side there. Normally you would use the transformation in this level, the T-Rex, to do a specific roaring code to open that gate. That's really slow. The motto for this game basically is when in doubt, shoot a clockwork at it. Like if something's really slow, then you can usually skip it with the clockwork, with a few exceptions, which we don't do in this category. Anyways, we are gonna actually learn the hatch move, because there's a couple quick jiggies we can get with it. Or I think just one quick jiggy. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 1 or 2, but there's definitely a use for it at least, so we get it. Then run right over here to this other Jinjo behind the cage. So the transformation in this level is actually unique to every other level because Mumbo's special ability in this world is enlarging. So you can actually enlarge Humba Wumba's wigwam here to become the Daddy T-Rex. There's technically two transformations in this level, the baby T-Rex and the Daddy T-Rex. And you would normally use a Daddy T-Rex to hit a huge switch there, you might have seen it. Oh, I was supposed to get both Clockworks here, that's actually routed in to get both Clockworks there, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. But anyway, you're supposed to hit that big switch with the Daddy T-Rex to unlock that gate there, and then transform back into Banjo-Kazooie to fit into that cage to get the Jinjo. But we just shoot a Clockwork at it, skip all that. Anyways, we get another Rocknut tribe member, as well as a Jinjo over here in this little area. Then we use these springy step shoes. I think this is the first time we're using them. I learned them at the beginning of this level. Only use them a couple times. Most of the moves we learn in this category, honestly, we only use one or two times. Go up here for another rock nut real quick. Then we're gonna go over here and then beak bomb straight into the train station. This is normally where you would get the notes around here, but since I failed that jump, I got them earlier. So you can go right into the train station for the final rock nut. You have to be careful with this one because if the Clockwork lands on the rock nut, it will explode and then not kill him. And you'll have wasted the Clockwork, which is a very big problem in this game. Well, this game in general, but especially in this category, is especially tight on Clockworks. So now we're going to recombine and actually do the stomping planes here. You may notice these footprints in the ground here. And this very long and convoluted cutscene will show you that there's a huge dinosaur's foot that stomps down every few seconds here. You're going to have to use those footprints to avoid it. Stomp on it on Triassic Steamroller. Pretty simple here. We're actually going to skip this last footprint to take damage. The first stomp will reduce you to 1 HP no matter how much health you have. And then the second one will just kill you because you have 1 HP. Anyways, we use egg barging there. I don't think I've really explained that trick. I don't even know if, can't even think if we've used it or not. But basically, you can shoot an egg and then do a beak barge immediately after to extend your hitbox and reach things behind gates that you're normally not supposed to. Just a little faster than hitting those switches there. Especially for the Solo Kazooie switch. Anyways, moving right along, we're gonna access the final area of Isle of Hags here, Quagmire. We're not gonna enter GI yet though, we're gonna go back to JRL real quick to get a few more jiggies. First, activating the silo here to use later. Before going to JRL, we're actually going to kill both of these gruntlings here. And there's a pretty precise Clockwork shot here. Got it first try. It's definitely an easy Clockwork shot, by the way. To get that Jinjo, to skip a move that we learned in GI. Well, we're going to get that move eventually, but it's be really slow to go back there with that move. I was supposed to switch to grenades there before entering the level. If you switch to an egg type in Isle of Hags, it'll save that egg selection in the level. So I wouldn't have to cycle back to grenades there a couple times like I had to there. Just slightly faster. Anyways, we're actually gonna visit Blubber here. He has a Jinjo and a few quick notes. Then we're gonna leave and then get this move over here real quick. as well as some more doubloons. That's the more important reason why we're over here. But since we're right here, we're actually gonna learn this move, Wing Whack. It's a Solo Kazooie's attack. Has a couple uses in the run. It's not necessarily required. It just makes things a little easier. Might as well learn it since we're right there. Oops, need that doubloon. A cool little jump there. Use that shock spring pad we unlocked earlier to get these 3 doubloons, and there's 4 Mumbos here. Bring us out to an even 20. Purposely take damage there to set up a Death Warp. Death Warping a Solo Kazooie is really easy because she only has 2 HP. That enemy over there can really troll you. Sometimes he can be right on the left there and you don't see him coming, and then you just run right into him. So usually if you don't see him there, you Wing Whack as soon as you round that corner, just in case he's there. Anyway, here's Tip Top's only son. We hatched him and he landed on his back, so we had to whack him real quick to get him back upright. And then he's just gonna roll right off and abandon his only son. He's probably just gonna get lost and end up hurt somewhere. Someone call CPS right now. It's a serious situation. We're gonna recombine here, then enter Pawnos. We're gonna cash in those 20 doubloons for another Jiggy. Actually, I should talk about skipping text in this game. I'm actually hitting L, R, and B at the same time. A lot of people like to stick in a rubber band on their controller to keep the L button pressed down because it's kind of weird to hit L, R, and B all at the same time. I've just gotten used to hitting them all at the same time, so I don't use a rubber band. I've gotten used to like that muscle memory, I guess, of hitting them all at once, but that is something that people do because L has no other purpose besides skipping text in this game. We don't take L's in this game, I guess. Anyways, warp right down to Atlantis. We're finally going to enter that temple with the code. I'm going to switch to blue eggs here for the minigame that's in here. So you may notice there's a pig in a cage here. What the hell's going on here? Well, this is Crispy Bacon. Yes, I'm not kidding, that's his name. I wonder where the joke is there. He wants to go down here underwater and take pictures of the hieroglyphs up here, or down here, so. But there's these piranhas that keep harassing him while he's taking the pictures, so we have to go down here and protect them for a minute straight. We're actually going to sit above where this Eggness spawns, and then as soon as the Eggness respawns, it's going to give us another clockwork. Just a quick way we can get some more clockworks while we're sitting here waiting for this minigame to end. This minigame for the most part is pretty simple, but if you're not paying attention, you can definitely, like, one of the piranhas can definitely slip right by you and end up biting him. And it's very slow if you fail this minigame, because you have to wait for the cage to rise up all the way back up. And then he has to ask you if you want to play again, and then you have to wait for it to go all the way back down to the bottom. It's a pain. There is a piranha that can spawn directly in front of us that Crispy Bacon is kind of blocking our view of, so that's why I'm randomly shooting eggs through his cage here. But we should be good here. Swim to the center here where Jiggy's gonna spawn. Slowly watch him rise back up. What's the time at right now? This is a pretty good run so far, actually. I had a run, my last stream before Pace, I had a run where that was 4 minutes ahead going into HFP, but I blew it all at the end. And it ended up not PBing. So I'm really going for a PB here, and so far I think we're on track for that. I haven't completely memorized paces for this category yet, but I think it's doable. Anyways, with double air, we barely have enough air to swim all the way to Seaweed Sanctum here and stay underwater for that whole crispy bacon minigame. We're gonna climb to the top of the Seaweed Sanctum here, taking damage along the way because we want to do another Death Warp here soon. Yeah, the movement for climbing up here can be a little tricky sometimes. To do it quickly at least. It's also random which one of these seaweeds is like an actual enemy and which one is just scenery. It's kind of weird. You'd think something like that would be set, but it's not. Get the Jinjo there and then go up to this, go into this top entrance here. To the big fish cavern, or I guess this is still the sea bottom. The honeycombs in here, that's good hundo RNG, but this isn't hundo. Instead we're just gonna knock these teeth out real quick and enter the big fish. It can be a little hard to aim at these teeth, especially from far away like this, but come on, man. They have pretty wonky hitboxes sometimes too. Wasted quite a few grenades there, but whatever, we take those, It's fine, it's fine. Enter the big fish here. There's a Jinjo in this alcove. And then there's another alcove to the left here. I wonder what's in here. This is the fish's stomach. Oh my god, it's an actual person. Or like a fish or whatever this is supposed to be. Anyway, this is Maggie, Jolly's partner. And we just go up and talk to her, and apparently she's free now because someone talked to her. Makes sense, right? And then we're gonna Death Warp to get back to the entrance of this level very quickly, and then go back and talk to Jolly for another Jiggy. Keep the camera towards the buildings here to reduce lag. That's like a good portion of learning this game, honestly. Like learning where to put the camera to reduce the most amount of lag. Also learning to hold Z to stay in Taltra, apparently. Alright, so now we jump down into the water here again. And this time we're gonna put our ice eggs to use finally, and like an actual use. For this UFO here, you're gonna have to enter using Talon Torpedo. I'm gonna try and keep Talon Torpedo to get these two note nests and these squids here. You can barely go fast enough to collect the note nests. Well, hopefully, if you don't suck at aiming. There we go. Enter the UFO, and for some reason this UFO is powered by ice eggs because we just learned those before this level, so that's pretty much the only reason, I guess. If you're good, you can shoot all of these from this entrance like I just did. It's definitely a lot harder to aim that than I made it look. And you don't have a whole lot of time either. You only have 20 seconds to hit all four of those. I remember as a kid failing that like over and over again. There's just a lot of things, like, that's the beauty of speedrunning, honestly. You pick a game that you always loved as a kid, but you always sucked at. And then you get to come back as an adult and finally conquer all your childhood worries. All the stuff that put you through so much pain as a kid. Finally get to conquer it. At least that's how I view speedrunning. To an extent. Anyways, grab the Jiggy there. Unfortunately, with the UFO here, it's actually gonna give us a really long cutscene later on in HFP that we're gonna have to eat up because we love all those yummy cutscenes. But it's still a pretty quick Jiggy overall, so we still get it in the 70 Jiggy route here. I can't remember if the task skips it or not. I don't think the task skips it. But anyways, we get this Jiggy here with a clockwork real quick. And that's it for Jolly Roger's Lagoon. Now we're gonna enter one of the more infamous levels of the run of this game. I mean, Grunty Industries. There's a really interesting route for GI in this category, actually. Completely different from the run 10 years ago. Like, absolutely no real similarities at all. Anyways, we are actually supposed to get a clockwork there. That's actually routed in. Because we need quite a few of them in GI, and there's not really a whole lot laying around in the level. And a lot of the egg nests we pass, we actually use to get more grenades, because we're gonna run low on grenades in GI as well. Anyway, here's Grunty Industries. We're actually gonna jump right around the side here, which is normally where you're supposed to do anyway, because normally to enter the factory here, you're supposed to use the train, and the train switch is right here on this side. So we're gonna go ahead and hug the wall here. If you hug the wall here, the monsters in the swamp there or the Dragundas, I should say, in the swamp there will ignore you for some reason. They just don't like the building, I guess. Alright, so we're gonna break in through the back door here. I'm gonna try and do the clockwork method. Oh man. I'm gonna try again. Nice. So there are basically two methods to backdoor break in, the clockwork warp, which I just did, or you can just shoot a clockwork and hit the switch that's normally there to open the door. I wasted a clockwork there, but the clockwork warp is much faster because it skips that whole cutscene of the door opening. And normally you would only use that door as a washing machine, which is a transformation of this level to get back there, and there's a whole jiggy where you have to go through the whole factory as a washing machine and wash a bunch of workers' clothes. There's actually a worker outside there, so that's the only purpose for that door normally. But in this category, we use it because we want to get the floor 2 as early as possible, and that door conveniently brings us right up to floor 2. Damage down to 1 here. Grab this battery using Taxi Pack. We're going to take this battery with us on a little journey here. Gonna bring it down to floor 1, but the entrance to floor 1 is way over here. Now, unfortunately, solo Banjo has really slow movement here. There's not a whole lot of movement and tech they can do with solo Banjo besides the double jump. Grab those 5 notes there. Like I said, we only need 505, so we're almost done with notes for this run. I guess I didn't explain that either, but beehives, they're used to grab health because your health in this game is honeycombs. And in the later levels, there's actual cursed beehives, which you saw chasing me there. Just a little added challenge, I guess. Like while you're grabbing health, you make sure not to die. Basically, you'll never have to use a honey hive to actually grab health, though, in the run. Anyways, drop the battery off there and then grab the gold feathers, and we're gonna go over here to the trash compactor for another quick jiggy. You can hear a worker, he's up there on that ledge, he's crying because his clothes are dirty. But he won't get off his fat ass to get to the laundromat, I guess. That's literally right next to him. So here's the trash compactor. There's an intruder, which is us. So they're gonna try and compact us. But I can just barely make this jump these gaps here from these compactors with a pack whack. Get a clockwork there. I'm still a little low on clockwork, so we're supposed to grab 2 nests worth of grenade eggs a little later on, so I might, oh my god. Might forfeit a grenade nest there anyway. I wasn't supposed to die there. I was supposed to grab the jiggy, so that's actually quite a big time loss, sadly, because we have to walk all the way down to floor 2 now, or floor 1. In case you missed the last like minute or 2 of the run, you get to see it again, I guess, basically. There was probably some people that got up to use the bathroom or something during this section, so I just wanted to run it back again so they can get the full experience. That was actually intentional, don't worry. Well, am I gonna take damage here? Yeah, but that's no big deal. Go right to a trash compactor here, and this time we have 2 health, so shouldn't be an issue. Even if we do get hit by a trash compactor, it'll only take us to 1 health. It's the same as a stomp on a dawn, like where the first hit only brings you down to 1 health. I guess I can get grenades here while I'm at it. A little low on them anyway. It's not intentionally gonna take damage here actually. Alright, we got the Jiggy, now we can move on. So now we're gonna recombine here and take both Banjo and Kazooie combined back down to floor 2. Or floor 1. I don't know why I keep saying floor 2. This time we move a lot faster because we're in Town Trot. This Kazooie just makes everything so much faster. This game really teaches you that it's really Kazooie pulling all the legwork in this game, in the first game and this game, especially this game. Alright, so now back on floor 1, we're immediately going to use that shock spring pad to jump up here for another quick jiggy. Shoot a clockwork up here. Normally you're supposed to like jump yourself up there, and I'm supposed to grab grenades here. Oh well, should be fine. Yeah, normally you're supposed to use another entrance at the front there, which we actually break in through in 100%. And then you're supposed to get up there, I think with Solo K, using the Claw Claimer boots, which we just learned, and shoot the tin tops with grenades. There's tin tops, like mechanical little enemies that fly around. Half of these jiggies I don't even remember, like the vanilla way you're supposed to get them anymore. It's just like, I've just been shooting a clockwork at it for so long. It's like I actually have to think about like how you're actually supposed to do it. Anyways, for this jiggy, it's another clockwork shot. Find a spot that works to shoot next through the wall with the ice eggs, because they're right next to the clockworks on the menu there. Got it pretty quickly there. And that's normally the jiggy we get for Weldar, the boss of this level, which includes a bunch of stuff. It takes so long to open the door to Weldar normally. So we actually skip a lot with that. Take a little damage on the battery there. You normally go down to 2 health, but for marathon safety purposes only went 3. It's only gonna cost us an extra grenade. Glad I checked what egg I was on there, because I would have just threw a grenade at myself there for no reason. So right here we are going to gold feather dive into the water here, and then mash dive, and then immediately talon torpedo. That's gonna cancel the damage animation of this normally toxic water. We're gonna use it to swim through the wall there using double air. You don't need double air, but it extends your hitbox to get that jiggy. Use another egg bar to get this jiggy. And we're actually gonna go over here for another clockwork shot. Hopefully not fall down there. Gonna do a little setup here where we hopefully grab the ledge. And climb up at the leftmost point there. Oh. Hopefully this works. This looks like it should still work. And find a point where the egg will go through. Oops. I had it there, but I moved the cursor. I like to use fire eggs for this test because this area is pretty dark. Come on, man. I kind of screwed up the setup. I'm gonna do the setup again. It's supposed to do a long beak bars as soon as you pull up like that. Yeah, so this should be a lot better. This should work. Yeah, that clockwork shot can be a little tricky sometimes, but we got it eventually. That's all that matters. Anyways, we blow that switch up with the clockwork. We're normally supposed to hit it with a grenade and go into this pipe from JRL. But that's slow. And that stops this toxic waste from spewing into this pool here. You see the pig there with the floaty. That's another jiggy that spans across a bunch of levels. You need to do a bunch of different steps for it, but all the steps are relatively short, so we still get in this category. And they're basically all in the way, so. And then we death warp to get back to the front of GI here. We're immediately gonna go back around back though. Similar to when we first entered this level. Only this time, once we reach land again here, we're gonna go all the way out here to these claw claimer boots. We're gonna use them to climb the wall over here. Now, claw claimer boots, you can only climb up specific points in the wall with these yellow Kazooie footsteps here. Do another egg barge to get that Jinjo. You're normally supposed to hit a switch that, or hit a switch as a solo character, which normally unlocks that gate. That's kind of a tricky jump there, but for the most part, it's pretty simple for the most part, but if you're not paying attention, you can definitely fail it there. Shoot a grenade there for no reason, I guess. Oh man, I was just barely too low with that clockwork. Oh. Need to get away from the wall here. We don't want to enter this loading zone as VK. We just want to shoot a clockwork into this chimney here to grab the Jinjo real quick. Then from here, we're going to shoot a window out from the top floor here. To enter floor 5. There's a quick Jiggy and Jinjo over here. Jiggy over here. I'm actually a lot lower on clockworks than I thought. I need to grab a couple extras. Or an extra, because we need one more clockwork after this shot here. There's an egg nest right here. Oh, I guess it's over there. Now hopefully I don't miss this next clockwork shot. Ideally you would exit this level with one clockwork because there's another clockwork shot that we want to do immediately after GI that saves a few seconds, but if we don't do that, it's no big deal. It's not required like this next clockwork shot is. Anyway, use a fire escape here to get to floor 4 really quickly. Then we're going to use another clockwork warp here to get back behind this, or through this door that would normally only open up for the washing machine, the transformation in this level. Find a gap that's going to work. When the camera shakes, that actually does affect your positioning here. Oh, I hope I have enough grenades here. 7 should be enough. I normally like to have 8, but 7 should be good, as long as I don't miss any grenade shots. So every 7 green toxic waste barrels here is going to be a blue rare symbol barrel. So we need to shoot all those rare barrels for this Jiggy. Normally you would do this from the other side, and then it's a lot farther away from the other side, so it's actually easier on this side. For the last 2 shots here, you want to have a little bit of a lead because the barrels are right next to each other. But that also means if you hit a green barrel, it like activates this alarm system and it actually closes off the barrel belt, so you're actually trapped on that other side. Because you're normally supposed to leave this area through this entrance here to hit a switch to detoxify the area. But obviously if you're on that side, you can't get on the other side if it's blocked off, so you just have to like reset the console at that point, because then it won't save like the toxic waste in that room. And it's just a huge time loss, but luckily that didn't happen. And we only had one grenade there. We were really cutting it short there. How many blue eggs do I have? No, I have enough. Enough where it's not a problem at least. Anyways, we go up here to the very top of the factory. Well, not the very top, but the top of floor 4 at least for another FPS section. This is one of my personal favorites, the Clinker's Cavern. If you run this game, you probably run through this FPS section a little bit just to warm up your movement. I know I did that right before this run. It's a good little section to warm your hands up. So yeah, there's 20 of these clinkers, or yeah, it's Clinker's Cavern. These little brown spots covering up the vents here. Sure, we shoot the first few of them with blue eggs, and then the rest we shoot with grenade eggs because grenades have a huge hitbox. Barely just like right there. You saw I just shot in the general vicinity of one, and it still counted. We can actually shoot them through walls too. We're gonna shoot at this wall that's gonna get rid of one. And then for this last one here, we shoot up in that corner and it somehow hits one. 50 clinkers is not great, but like I've been saying this whole run, we take those, just inhaling mycopium. Anyways, we're gonna grab the Jiggy here, and that's gonna be it for GI. And this run's going by so fast, we have 49 out of 70 Jiggies. We're gonna need to visit Jiggy Wiki again to open up a couple more worlds before we can move on though. Nice little break, I guess, from all the action. So yeah, we're gonna warp to Wooded Hollow here. There's a Jinjo at the end of a digger tunnel here in Wooded Hollow. I can actually grab an extra clockwork here, I just realized that. It's faster to get that Jinjo with a clockwork. I don't know why I didn't think about that extra clockwork earlier. Yeah, because otherwise we'd have to run all the way to the end to pick up that Jinjo, then run all the way back to Jiggy Wiggy. It's just a lot faster to shoot a clockwork at it. Shoot a clockwork at any out of the way area like that. Anyways, we're gonna open up 2 levels here. HFP and CCL. At this point, I'm not even sure like what a good time for this puzzle would be. I usually get like a 70 or 69, which I know is not really a great time for this puzzle, but we'll see what we get here. That's not an edge piece. Alright, well that should have been like a 73, but I took 2 seconds on the final piece for some reason. But we still get the thumbs up from Banjo, so I guess it's alright. Yeah, 100 seconds for each of these puzzles is just honestly way too much time. I guess if you've like never seen this game before, it can be a little tight, especially for the later challenges, but as a speedrunner, I don't think you ever hit below 50. So we have to sit through this cutscene here because we have to open up another level after this. This time we're opening up HFP, which is that level that we hit the bridge for to access for later. It's not the next level we're gonna enter actually though. We're gonna open up the next level we're about to enter. It's the next level in the route here. Alright. I usually have a lot of trouble with this puzzle. This is the last puzzle in 100%. For some reason, I like to go for the centerpieces of this puzzle first, even though that's like not the strat at all. I just like to challenge myself, I guess, for no reason. Even the edge pieces in this puzzle is kind of hard to tell where some of them go. These last two pieces are hard to tell sometimes. Yeah, 63 is not great, but we take those, we take those. That's the motto of this run, I guess. We take those. And this time we're gonna reset out the cutscene here, because this is the last level we can unlock here. Now we really don't have that much left of the run, honestly. The next two levels here are gonna go by really quickly. And then we just have HFP using the timer for judgment. That should... Honestly, that felt a little early, but hopefully it's not early. I mean, we're gonna enter CCL next anyway, so we'll figure out pretty quickly here. But I'm pretty sure we're fine. Alright, so now it doesn't matter if we get an extra clockwork here because it's routed in that we talked to jam jars to refill. This is the last refill of the run though. From here on out, the clockwork route is very tight. We're up to Wasteland. This is where CCL is, but as I mentioned a few seconds ago, we need the refill and clockworks first. Sometimes that guy can be annoying and be right in your way, but pretty easy to avoid. Kind of jumped at a funny angle there, entered the level at a weird angle. Kazooie's beak was kind of outside of the bubble. Anyways, I don't know why they chose to bring you up here in a bubble instead of like an elevator or something, or like an airplane or something. I think it fits the theme of this level pretty good though. It's kind of goofy. The music is kind of goofy. Anyways, we entered the central cavern here right away. Grab this Jinjo real quick while we're here. We're gonna try and make this jump over to the split up pads. This should work. Oh, no it didn't. It's kind of a tight jump there actually, so we're gonna have to jump around here. Not a huge deal, it's pretty slow, but whatever. It's fine, it's fine. Potentially take fall damage here. We're gonna death warp right after this Jiggy. We intentionally get right up on the safe here and intentionally fail a clockwork shot. That's definitely intentional. Don't ask why. It's definitely intentional. Even though it's one of the easiest clockwork shots in the game. And we just blow ourselves up with the clockwork there to save a grenade, because our grenade count is still pretty restricted. So we enter this green exit here and jump on the mountain here to gain a little extra height to make it up there. We normally use a move we're supposed to learn in GI called leg spring, which is a huge backflip as solo K, but it's unnecessary for this route. The GI route I did in this run actually was made relatively recently to avoid learning leg spring, and oh, I failed that. That's not good. I'm actually gonna death warp here. Because normally to enter the pot of gold here, we're supposed to beak bomb into the ground there to barely make it up there in time. So it's unfortunate I had to death warp there, but it's for the best, really. Just try it again. Nothing happened. This jump can be a little scary sometimes, because if you're on that timer I mentioned earlier where if your shadow's over a slippery slope, then you'll start to slide after a couple seconds. Alright, let's try this again. I mean, it's our first time visiting here at all. There we go, that's a much cleaner. In this pot of gold, we have to hit one of each egg into the center here. Well, except for clockworks, of course, because you can't really shoot those anywhere. One more. Regular eggs, and that unlocks this minigame. Makes all the jiggies on the wall shine up here. Then we get the gold eggs here, and this is one example of a minigame where we can actually end early by hitting all 100 jiggies on the wall here. We can end the minigame early, which is definitely our goal here. A good time would be like a 9 seconds remaining or 10. Let's see what we get. We have to pick a pretty consistent speed here. Unfortunately, I missed a couple jiggies there. I'm going to have to double back for. Guess I'll do that now. Like right here, if you pick a consistent speed to scroll here, you'll get most, if not all, the jiggies. This is the last row, so if we miss any on this last row, I have to immediately go back for it, unfortunately. About 9 seconds remaining, that's pretty solid. We take those, we take those. Coping. Yeah, Jiggy and a Cheeto page. We don't get any Cheeto pages in this category, but basically it's another requirement for 100%, kind of like a side quest in this game. Cheeto, which is a flying sentient book from the first game, gives you cheats if you collect his Cheeto pages in this game in intervals of 5. There's 25 Cheeto pages in the game, but none of them are necessary for this particular category. Of course, you can check out my Hundo run to find out where all the Cheeto pages are. Anyway, we beat bomb right over here to a trash can, which is going to house another minigame. The classic red 1, green 2, blue 3. So here's Guffo. He doesn't get many visitors in his trash can. I wonder why. Seems like a pretty nice place, don't you think? Anyway, he's facing eviction from the health and hygiene department. So he has to kill 50 points worth of germs, or just keep his business open. Imagine if that's how it worked IRL. It's like, okay, kill a certain amount of points worth of germs here. I guess that kind of technically is how it works in person. In a slightly different manner, I guess. Anyway, it's pretty simple to run around here and use Wing Whack. It's RNG what point values show up and where. As long as you get 50 relatively quickly, it's not a big deal. If you have enough time remaining, you can get this Jinjo with a clock. And then we can also shoot a clockwork into this box to grab a couple more clockworks. We're gonna try and land on, well, we're not supposed to land on Jiggy, actually. We're supposed to death warp as we're getting the Jiggy, basically. Oh, I missed a grenade shot there, but you can like death warp during this little cutscene here, and it's a little quicker. Not a big deal that we didn't get it though. Anyway, that brings us back to the split up pads here, and we're gonna recombine and move along here to this pool of water. Then the exit here. And this will bring us out to this pool here where we got the flight pad as solo K. We're gonna get right above this platform here, dive underwater, tell torpedo this boulder here. That's gonna empty this whole pool of water into TDL actually, and that's gonna give us another quick jiggy. All the water is gonna pool in and make a nice waterfall right from like the stratosphere all the way down into this perfectly into this pool. What a coincidence, am I right? Now that the pool is full of water again, Dippy is so happy. Look how so happy he is. Can I get Dippy W's in the chat? Remember to stay hydrated, folks, by the way. I personally need to hydrate, but this run's almost over. But don't be like me. If you're watching this run and you haven't hydrated, I highly recommend it. Hydration is pretty good. Oh my god. That's pretty bad. Definitely wasn't supposed to get knocked down there, but I'm just gonna say it's RNG manipulation because copium. Let's try that again. There we go. Get the flight pad here. We're gonna go up to this big cheese wedge up here. Now this cheese wedge is very stinky. We only have a limited amount of time here until our air depletes here. But we have double air, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now we're gonna go up here and we're gonna jump against this slope here and then do an interesting trick here called cheese wedge skew. It's a little finicky. Oops. I think I need to fix my camera here. Oh, I got it there, but I wasn't close enough to jiggy. Come on, man. Am I actually gonna run out of air here? I'm spinning around too early, I think. Oh, I got it there, but didn't get to the jiggy. Nope, that didn't work. Nope, not quite. Got the skew there, but not the positioning. Alright, that should have worked, but it didn't. There we go. Took a little more time there. That's a relatively easy trick for the most part. If you try to rush it too much like I was trying to there, you usually end up failing it quite a bit. Anyways, use this conveniently located flight pad here to beak bomb down to Mumbo's skull here. There's actually two Mumbo skulls in this world. One of them is a boss fight, and the other one is actually Mumbo. Hopefully, we're gonna hope this is the boss fight. Yes, it is. Good. You can tell if it's a boss fight or not because the Globo count will appear at the bottom right there if it is Mumbo. Oh, am I switched to blue eggs? I should have switched to blue eggs here, but I didn't consciously do that, so I'm just gonna shoot and hopefully it's blue eggs. Anyway, there is a quick kill for this boss fight. Shoot an egg immediately to start the fight and then poop 3 eggs. During that cutscene, he hits them. Ideally, you would use gold feathers to hit him right there in front of his throne, but I wasn't quick enough. Well, we got another quick, relatively close position there. It was still a pretty quick boss fight. We take those, we take those. Copium. Yeah, you want to kill him right in front of his throne because as you see, his Jiggy appears on the throne there. Anyway, that if you don't use gold feathers there, it's normally a really tricky boss fight. Actually, he like teleports all over the room and he uses a homing attack against you, and yeah, it's just really tricky. Luckily, we skip all that with gold feathers. Gonna move on here. We're gonna... Kind of a bad angle for that beak bomb there. Let's try that again. Go to George the Ice Cube here. He needs a little bit of a push because he knows for a fact he's right over the ice side of Hailfire Peaks. So we're just gonna push him over here and oh no, wait, no! Turns out it's a lava side. No! Oh no! Oh, that's an unfortunate accident. Can I get F's in chat for George? Never forgotten. Anyway, that's for a Jiggy later on. That's actually part of the pig pool Jiggy quest. Because the pigs, they want the water to be a little bit more warm, but not too much. Not like lava side warm, you know what I mean? So you have to push an ice cube into the lava water just to make it slightly less warm. I kind of did this wrong. Normally you're supposed to only press B once there to pull up the clockwork and skip that text. But I didn't get it, so we had to wait for that text to scroll. Anyway, here's the final transformation in the game, the bee. Also my favorite, my personal favorite. Gonna fly around the level here and destroy all these eyeball plants for Jiggy. But after this first one here, we're gonna make a quick detour over to this jelly castle here. Now normally you would need to use a solo Banjo move called Shack Pack, which allows Banjo to get inside of his backpack to fit into small areas like this, but we can get enough speed as a bee to barely fit through. It's pretty precise. I got it pretty quickly there, luckily. Definitely not as easy as I made it look. I mean, it definitely is easy. It's free as hell. You shouldn't just get good. Anyway, you don't have to kill all these eyeball plants in order. Like, I killed that one out of order, and then it just skips one of the cutscenes of the Jiggy warping to the other eyeball plant. Anyway, here's the final one. And then we're gonna catch this Jiggy in flight, and then immediately fly all the way up here to hit this target. If we hit it 20 more times, it will unlock another area at the top of the hive here for another minigame. And that will be it for our visit to CCL. Only one more level after this. This run's just flying by. No pun intended because of the bee. Or actually, screw it, pun intended. Anyway, here's another red 1, green 2, blue 3 minigame. Of course, the optimal score here is 69 because it's a nice score. No matter the situation. You want to stay high above the hive for the most part because that's where the most Zubbas are. Zubbas are these bee enemies here. Right now I'm not seeing too many of them though. It's kind of a concern, honestly. We need 50 to win this game. Should be fine though. Right? Definitely not going to get the 69 here, sadly. Am I even going to win this minigame? Hello? Where are they? Okay. We're good. Kind of want to land where the Jiggy is. Normally you would score way more than I did there. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Almost made it to Jiggy at least. Yeah, if you end the minigame in flight there, it gives you a weird height boost there. Anyway, that's the end of CCL. Only one more level to go. And 11 more Jiggies. A lot of those Jiggies are just finishing up the Jinjo families. The next 11 Jiggies are going to go by fairly fast. Go back to Jinjo Village. We're going to try and get an extra clockwork here. If I'm manipulating the camera. Perfect. 7, that should be enough. HFP is notorious in this category though for being really difficult. So hopefully I don't fail too many clockwork shots here, or hopefully none at all. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, here's Hellfire Peaks. I'm gonna start the level by running right up to the second level here. Gonna use these stone steps here to get up there quickly. Then we're gonna quickly hop across this pool of lava here. Try and avoid this hothead by moving quickly. Jump over these lava hands, or just damage boost through them, I guess. Then split up for the final step of the pig pool jiggy. We're gonna go down to the pool that we killed George in earlier. Then there's a solo banjo switch here that opens that gate, which empties this pool of water into the pig pool in JRL. It's really interesting how this game incorporates all the levels and like ties them all together. It's definitely unique compared to the first game where all the worlds are basically separate. So yay, the pigs can finally go swimming, even though we don't never see them go swimming, because we actually have to go back to JRL to see them swimming. It's kind of funny, if you do go back there, you'll see that like one of the pigs has 3 arms. Like they got actually like tried to swim in the pool while the toxic waste was going in there, and they actually got poisoned. It's kind of funny. I'm supposed to be at full health here, so I'm just gonna take a quick death warp here, because there's no health lying around for us to get. Anyway, jump over these hands. Use wing whack again to get some extra air time to quickly jump across this pool of lava. And we're gonna do another interesting clockwork shot here. Hold A to fall down slowly here, so we get just that bit of extra distance to make the fall there and the jump there to the jiggy out of bounds. Normally you're supposed to split up and hit a bunch of like solo character switches all around the Coliseum wall here. That's really slow. And then we damage boost through that waterfall and quickly death warp on that lava waterfall that actually makes us take damage. Then from here, we jump down here to enter the volcano for another pretty quick jiggy with Solo K, where we have to hit these switches with Roman numerals on them in a row here. Just summons all these platforms. It's not a really interesting jiggy at all. But I mean, it's on the way and it's fairly quick compared to the 20 that we skip in this category. Sometimes this hothead can be in your way, but most of the time it's pretty chill. Wing whack also helps us out in this room as well, making us do it quite a bit quicker. Number 5 just spawns that one platform there. I've had runs where the hothead is like right in my path there, and then he knocks me into the lava, and it's just really sad. Luckily that didn't happen this time. Okay, with wing whack we can skip this little bit of platforming here to jump right to the final switch there. And there we are, that's the volcano. Oops, kinda need that jiggy. We can do this interesting movement here where we wing whack and immediately cancel to slide across the ice really quickly there. Then we're gonna enter Icicle Grotto real quick. There's just a Jinja that we need right here. Then we're gonna death warp. That platform can be kind of tricky to land on sometimes. I almost missed the platform there actually. Cycle through the eggs to death warp a little quicker there. I'm gonna recombine and activate that hand there so we can quickly just run right by it. And we're gonna do this thing called Shack Pack Skip. This is kind of tricky actually. So I'm gonna focus here for a bit. Alright. Got it really quickly there. Alright, so basically for that trick, we crouch slide into the pool of lava there. Normally when we touch that, well, you saw me there when I failed it, and it automatically knocks you out of the lava there. Or like the lava, water, however you want to call it. It normally just knocks you right out and you can't swim in it, but if you poop a clockwork and slide into the lava there, it just barely, you're in there for long enough where it cancels the trigger for the damage. And then when you enter a loading zone, it just saves that Banjo is swimming in the pool, and then you can just swim freely. Instead of using Shack Pack, which normally requires 640 notes. Which at that point, collecting notes is really far out of our way. Well, not really extremely far out of our way, but it's definitely slower. Speaking of slower, this is an extra cutscene that we have to eat up because we got the UFO Jiggy earlier in JRL. What's going on? Keep the ship steady. He's gonna fall out. No! Activate the jetpack. The jetpack's jammed. No! Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh, he's okay. Oh, wait. No, he's not okay. He's dead! There's a lot of death in this game. This is a kid's game, by the way. Anyways, Icy Side is a really tough part of this category, actually. We're under a time limit here. After a certain amount of time here, the boss of this side, Chili Willy, is going to start firing ice balls at us. Want to get down to the bottom half of this level before that happens. Need to get that Jiggy pretty quickly, which they got it pretty quickly there. And this Jinjo. That shot should definitely not have worked, or at least it didn't look like it should have, but it did. We take those, we take this. There's Chili Willy. He's not going to start firing at us until his text is done. And there's Mildred, George's wife. We killed her as well. Don't ask me why there's just a random Ice Cube couple that we just murdered in this game. Don't ask me what the developers were thinking with that one. Nice, we got that very quickly. Can't pause during the Jinjo text there, but if you pause at the right frame there, well, it's not frame perfect, but if you pause and you can like see through the ground there, you can actually shoot a clockwork right through immediately. You can like hold Z as a menu is unpausing and get that Jiggy right away, instead of doing an annoying setup from the side of the igloo here. Anyways, we feed Boggy that fish that we got the bottom of that lava pool, and there's our 70th Jiggy. We're now getting very close to the end of the run here. We death warp, and we're gonna unlock the final two puzzles here, which is gonna be Cauldron Keep itself from ILO Hags, and then the door to Hag 1. From this point on, like, you never see any of what you're about to see in any other category, so you're in for a treat. Well, not any other main category, at least. On the memer boards, you'll see Cauldron Keep, but and in Bingo, you'll see Clungo 3. That's a whole nother category I didn't touch on, Banjo-Tooie Bingo. Man, that's honestly my main category of Banjo-Tooie. Bingo is so much fun. I would highly recommend it if you enjoyed this run in the slightest, or this game in the slightest, honestly. Anyways, Jiggy Wiggy Challenge 9. As you can see, basically the entire puzzle is taken out now. Getting really serious. We're getting towards the end. Went by way too fast. Always does. But you know what? We just gotta live in the moment, enjoy it while it lasts, you know. couple more pieces here. Pretty obvious to tell where they are at this point. 63, that's about what I normally get on this puzzle. Got the Banjo seal of approval. You have to sit through this cutscene because there's one more puzzle we have to do, and that's the last puzzle for the run. Behold the power of the mighty Jiggy Wiggy. One more time. Don't you guys just love cutscenes? Cutscenes are great. Gives us time to just chill in the middle of our speedrun, you know. Speedrunning just takes so much of your energy, you know, like after a 2-hour run you just feel so exhausted and you just get to kick back and just chill for a bit, you know, recharge for the moments that are about to come. Alright, the final puzzle here. Now every single piece of the puzzle is being taken out. We're not messing around anymore. This is the real stuff. That's not a corner piece. That's... I don't know what I was thinking there. I wasn't thinking at all. Whoops, I didn't want to pick up that piece. What am I doing, dude? Apparently that cutscene wasn't enough for me. I needed some more time to chill. Sometimes you need to place the hand in a very specific spot for him to actually pick up the piece. Come on in. Alright, there's Jiggy Wiggy's Challenge 10. This unlocks the final boss at the top of Cauldron Keep. We're going to reset out this cutscene here like normal, 2.5 seconds after the screen fades to white here. Now for the final time, behold the power of the mighty reset button. Behold the power of the mighty cutscenes. This game was made by Rareware, by the way. Shout out to Rareware. They basically don't exist anymore. We just want Banjo-Tooie. Alright, entering the file here, we're gonna go right to Quagmire, which is where Cauldron Keep is. I don't have that many eggs here. I've been failing this trick coming up for quite a bit now. Hopefully I can get it and show it off to you guys. Now normally you would need to use Claw Climber boots, which are all the way on the other side of the area here to climb up here. You probably saw it during the cutscene, the Kazooie footprints, but you can actually do sort of a clockwork warp here onto this pole. Nice, first try. You can warp right up if the clockwork is touching it as you take damage. It warps you right up there even though it's not a loading zone. And then you can just climb up that pipe, which you're normally supposed to not be able to access until you get up there already to hit a switch that reveals a shock spring pad. It's just quicker than grabbing the claw claimers all the way on the other side. Anyways, this Pack Whack is actually a required move. It's required to make that gap. You're normally supposed to use Sack Pack, which is a move in Cloud Cuckoo Land, which requires 765 notes, which is just way out of our way. Much rather use Pack Whack. Anyways, you can jump through this electric fence here. I guess fire eggs are okay for this fight. Yeah, normally you're supposed to run all the way to the back of Cauldron Keep there to press another switch as Banjo-Kazooie combine to remove that electric grid there. But we can just jump right through it. Anyways, the music changed. Whenever that happens, we always end up in a fight. Oh no, it's Klungo. He somehow survives that fall. A career-questioning minion. He's just been defeated so many times. We beat him up so badly. Look at all his bandages. Enough's enough, man. But unfortunately, we have to beat him up just one more time. So we get blue potion here. It's kind of laggy, especially in this fight. As you can see, it's at like 2 FPS right now. Oops, we're supposed to shoot the potions here. Just reduces lag to do it this way. I was gonna spawn 3 clones, but we're right here, so we get the correct one. Also, with blue potion, you can't really get too close to the exit like you can with other potions. Anyways, we beat Klungo 3 times. He's had enough, man. He's just gonna quit working for Grunty. It's not working out for him so much anymore. You know, he's been foiled so many times. No chance for promotion, no days off, no pay. Just gonna go find some easy desk job somewhere, probably make stupid games. I wonder what company he ended up with. Anyways, we're gonna go into this door here, which originally had a question mark. I wonder what's through here. Welcome to the this game's game show. Last time we had Furnace Fun. This time we have Tower of Tragedy, which is a lot more linear. In Furnace Fun, if you remember from the first game, it was basically like a board game where you go through different squares and answer questions. Oh, I should probably pay attention here. Anyways, this is this game's form of a game show here, where you know it's another mini game where you have to let the timer run out. You have to go through 3 rounds here. Why did Lago complain in GI? He did unblocking. Now I purposely wait here until the end of the timer here. You have a 5-second timer to actually answer the question. It's just to reduce the amount of questions that could possibly be asked here. Sometimes they answer really quick here, like Mingy did here. Which one of these is not Boggy's kids? Which one is Boggy's kid? So for this first round, you just need to get 2nd place or better. Okay, here we go. Here's our first screen question. This is why we want to reduce the amount of questions being asked, because these screen questions actually make the timer pause. So here we have the Seaman surprise. I wonder what the question's gonna be for this picture. How many doubloons would it cost for all 3 of them? Apparently not 11. I wasn't paying that much attention. I'm probably not gonna answer this because I don't need to. Just let the timer run out. So on the left there is the overall timer, and the right there is the timer for that question. They might notice there I'm holding Z to make the text scroll by really slowly, just to add more time, I guess. There's 2 screen questions. Normally, an average run you get like 5 or 6. My best is 2, which we're already at, so at the first round, that's not looking good. How many bits? God. I think Blobelda's losing this one. I don't know about you guys. I'm not even gonna answer. I'm gonna let the timer run out. Oh, I guess I should be answering this just to add more time, because it gives you 5 seconds to answer the question, and then gives you 5 seconds to answer the question, and then 5 seconds to lock in your answer. Hopefully this is not a screen question. Who lives in Honeybee's hive? I wonder what the answer to that one could be. Yeah, some questions are just brain dead like that. I guess they had to have a few gimmies in there. Anyways, Blobelda is the loser of this round, -4, which is her IQ. And the punishment for losing this game is certain death. You know, not really huge stakes there. Anyway, starting off this next round with a screen question. That's a classic. It's a huge fan. Oh, Mingy's already gonna answer. Yeah, this time we have to beat Mingy. So I'm actually gonna try and get a lead here if the game stops giving me screen questions. Because losing would waste a lot of time. Probably make the estimate a little low. Jerry does not exist. Seasick Pirate, that's Black Eye. A lucky guess. Yeah, alright, Grunty. What is that, 5 screen questions so far? That's not terrible, I guess. You can have upwards of like 12. Anyways, we don't have too much of a lead here. I'm gonna try and get more of a lead here. Alright, that should be good. We only have 80 seconds left. Was it Cheeto the spellbook lost? I explained that earlier in the run. He lost his pages. His page boy, his pager. Some of these other options here are pretty funny, actually. 6 screen questions. This is getting to be pretty bad at this point. Each screen question loses like 5 seconds because it pauses the timer twice there for a pretty long time, honestly. How many feathers are there on Mumbo's skull? There's 3 of them. Oh no, she got the answer right. Hopefully she doesn't catch up. There's another screen question. Of course there is. Nice voice crack. It's the same picture again. This is the same picture we had on the first round. I wonder what the question is going to be this time. Is it going to be the same question? I thought it was a duvet nearest the camera. Oh, it's not that. Alright, luckily we didn't end with a screen question there. That was a really optimal round ending both times there. Anyways, we didn't lose any Tower of Tragedy rounds. That's basically all I can ask for a marathon run. So for this final round, we actually just have to get 15 points. It's the easiest round. How does Banjo get inside of Kickball Stadium in Mayhem Temple? Disguised as a Stony, of course. Now it's time to just show how much of a nerd I am at this game. Very top of the lift shaft. Signposts. What's this blubber rent out from his wave shop? Gee, I wonder. It's gotta be go-karts, right? Where's Jiggy located on which old Star Spinner? Top of a planet. What's the name of the pawnbroker? Pawno. Scunny? Some of these other options here is like, what the hell? How many letters in Banjo-Tooie? See, this is kind of a trick question. There's obviously 10, but it gives you stuff like more than 9, less than 11. Or did you find a big oil drill on the icy side? Which potion does Klungo not drink before attacking? That would be speed. We already have enough points, but why not continue and see how big of a score we can get here. We have to wait till the end anyway. Was first game that Banjo appeared in is not Banjo-Kazooie, it's actually Diddy Kong Racing. Some people might not know that. Oh, it's black and white, right? Some of them I literally just don't know. There's such a big pool of questions here, it's like, I can't really remember the answer to all of them. Like this one, like what number question is this on my list? Like what kind of question is that? Buzzer broken, huh? Shut up. What does the oil drill unearth? A jiggy? What pressure level is shown in the exterior dials of Grundy Industries trash compactor? Hell if I know. I'm just gonna let it run out. I got enough points anyway. Maybe I'm just exposing myself to the Banjo community. They're probably like, how the hell does he not know the answer to that? What can't he transform into? Crocodile. That's the first game. Weldar. What was the full name of Cloud Cuckoo Land's floater creature? Flotus floating. What color are the Clockwork Kazooie eggs? Red with yellow spots. I actually had to think about that for a minute there. He just said that he's gonna make games. Kind of a bad round ending there, but that's okay. Let's aim the final round. We got enough points. Oh no, the scoring system must be broken. Unfortunately, we can't skip this text, so we just have to read it. It's kind of funny text, so. Oh dear, what happens now? I don't know, any ideas? Because escape in a cowardly fashion like in Banjo-Kazooie. That'd be too easy though. She built a rocket into this booth for this very reason. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one, Grunty. Go off in your little rocket. This game is just ridiculous. That door just magically opens. You know, all she had to do was not open that door and it would have been impossible for us to get up there and she would have won. It would have been that easy. Anyway, the game's gonna give us a credit sequence here. We can skip that. We can skip this cutscene of a Banjo reviving everyone. So yeah, basically the story of this game is the Grunty sisters revives Grunty with the Hag 1 drill here that we're about to see here as the final boss. And then in return she kills Bottles, turns him into a ghost, and also sucks the life force out of King Jingling. And in that cutscene we just skipped, we revived both Bottles and Jingling. And now here's the epic showdown against Hag 1, Grunty. We're getting close to the end of the run here. It's been a lot of fun. Had a couple large mistakes here and there, but for the most part, pretty solid for a marathon. Should definitely make estimate at least. Not gonna be PB like I hoped, but oh well. Let's get back to that card game. That was also an intro cutscene that we skipped because of Jinjo manipulation. Beginning of the game, Banjo-Kazooie, Mumbo, and Bottles are all playing a game of poker when the crap really hits the fan. Oh no, it's right. It was right behind us all along. We thought Grunty chickened out. Look at the size of that. It wasn't that big before, was it? You know, it's funny, Banjo says how could we have missed it, but if you actually enter this loading zone in Talon Trot, Banjo's looking right at it, so that's a good question, Banjo. How did you miss it? Alright, so for this first phase here, she's gonna put lasers on the floor here, and then spin around, so we have to jump across them, or jump over them, rather. So for this fight, we need 2 clockworks. I'm actually really good on ice eggs here, so I'm going to prioritize more blue eggs. I'm going to use ice eggs for the majority of this fight, because you can rapid fire them pretty quickly, and they do 2 damage each. Or maybe we're not good on ice eggs, that was kind of bad aim there. Anyways, for this second phase here, there's gonna be 4 lasers instead of 2, so much more different, right? Just have to jump a little more often. Still trying to get eggs around the arena here. We are gonna use blue eggs for the second half of this fight, or the second, or like the last part of it there. But each of these phases where we have to knock 10 health is just so quick, so fast to use ice eggs. Shoot 5 of them really quickly. Anyways, for this next phase, you're gonna shoot the mortar cannons, but what we can actually do here is backflip onto the top of the drill here and then look up. This reduces a lot of lag and makes it so we can automatically dodge the cannons instead of jumping over them like we normally would. Now, if you may have noticed that she's actually asking us more quiz questions, and if we actually want to answer them, she'll fire slower if you actually get the question right. But it's faster to just mash B and skip the questions, because we usually end the phase quickly enough to where it doesn't matter. Anyway, this phase, there's 2 cannons instead of 1. She fires 6 times instead of 4. So much more difficult. Yeah, sometimes her hitbox can be a little finicky. It's just a small area to hit in general compared to that large drill. You have to be like a little ways away from the drill for it to actually hit. So for this next phase, she's going to actually turn the drill on and she's going to start coming after us. And as well as the lasers being on the ground. So we have to jump over the lasers and she's going to come at us very slowly here. Oh no, I'm so scared. How are we going to get through this? We kind of just have to wait until it's over, until she pops out again. She drops out health after every phase in case you take damage. It's not the end of the world. We should be popping out here really soon. Now in these phases, it's actually optional to bring her health down, but it's just much faster to bring her health down. You can just wait around and dodge her attacks until she just gives up, and then you throw a clockwork at the batteries. That almost missed the battery, actually. Kind of got a weird camera flip there. Luckily it didn't miss. If you do miss, you have to do that whole phase all over again. It's a huge almost. Anyways, this time there's 4 lasers. No big deal. Just wait it out. You know, it doesn't even make much of a difference that she comes after us, but it's like, it's not like the drill really does damage unless you jump. So I don't really get where the added difficulty there is. Alright, now we go and blow up the other battery. And now the digger is dead, so the fight's not over yet. It's almost over though. These next few phases go by really quick though. Time's gonna be coming up here in like a little less than a minute or so. Someone call a tow truck? I don't think there's service up here, I'm sorry. Let's just finish this. So from here on out, we're gonna use blue eggs because for every phase we need to take 15 HP off of her, and we can really rapid fire blue eggs like a machine gun if we don't get hit. Alright, the second to last phase here. Time's coming up really soon. So we're gonna release the toxic gas. But we have double air and it's gonna end so quickly anyway, it doesn't even matter. Wait, one more hit yet. Time ends as soon as I get the final hit. And time! All right, GG's. 2:53:56. That's only 2 minutes off my PB. That's not bad. Anyways, Digger just explodes in a very violent fashion. I guess a good thing about this category is that we get the actual ending, which is the final boss. I mean, you get that ending with any percent too. Anyway, here's the ending. Bottles already has birthday party here. We're too late because we're fighting Grunty. And yeah, that's it for my run here. Thank you once again, everyone at Pace, for inviting me back. It's been a lot of fun. I would highly recommend, if you're able to come out to one of these events at some point. Highly recommend it. And yeah, it's always a privilege to be a part of these events. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. All of that is coming to mind right now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of the event. The week is just getting started. So many more awesome runs to look forward to. See you guys around.
Urban arts helped prepare me for college by giving me a lot of experiences working both independently and collaboratively with other people to make really cool games, and taught me how to put my all into creative projects, and that helped me put together a very strong portfolio for college.
The best part about being in the urban arts community is the people that you meet. A lot of the people here have the same interests as me, so in the future, making friends here will benefit me and them and everyone around, because we all benefit from each other by gaining skills that other people had that I may need.
Urban arts helped me see myself differently by showing me that I can be a good leader. In the studio program, I was assigned the role as project manager, and fulfilling that role for the first time actually helped me realize that I have good leadership skills, and it really helped me to develop them.